Hello, Year 11s. Hope you are keeping well and enjoying ratio as much as you can enjoy ratio. Our starter is a little bit different today. We're going to look at doing an exam question instead of our 10 practice questions, if you will. So we've got a triangle, a square, and a pentagon have a total area of 48 centimeters squared. So all three shapes together add up to a total of 48 centimeters squared. The areas of the shapes are in the ratio of the number of their sides. I would like you to figure out what is the area of the pentagon. You don't need to use any formulas. This whole question is about ratios. Okay, so I would start with the letters T, S, and P, and maybe the word total, something like that. If you pause the video now, I'll come back with the answer in just a moment. All right, answer time. So like I said, I would start with T for triangle, S for square, and P for pentagon. I'm looking to find out what they have in total. So a triangle has 3 sides, a square has 4 sides, and a pentagon has 5 sides. In total, that makes 12. They told us in the question that the total area of all 3 shapes was 48. So I now need to ask myself, how do I get from 12 to 48? And that would be times by 4. The question is actually looking for me to find the area of the pentagon. So all I'm looking for is this area here. So 5 times by 4 gives me 20. So the final answer is 20. Hopefully you got that one as well. That is a very charming 3 marks. These are kind of questions that we do use in real life. They normally don't ask them to us just like this, but I definitely think that we get asked to do things like this in real life. Today's lesson about ratio is called equality of ratio. And I remember when these first turned up on the exam, they seemed really, really silly. And now they're some of my favorite questions, and I do think that they are really sensible questions. So let's start looking at them. All right, our first example. In an orchard, which is where some trees grow, so in an orchard, the ratio of apple trees to pear trees is 3 to 7. So we have some apple trees and we also have some pear trees. And the ratio of pear trees to cherry trees, so we've got pear and cherry this time, is 3 to 4. We actually want to work out what is the ratio of apple trees to cherry trees. So lots of different pieces of fruit here. Let's start writing some of this out. So we've got apple to pear. That is in the ratio 3 to 7. And then we have a totally other ratio, which says pear to cherry is 3 to 4. Now, hopefully you're looking at this and thinking the letter P is in both of those ratios. So we've got this part over here where P is 7, and we also have this part over here where P is 3. In order for us to be able to compare the apples and the cherries, what we need to do is we need to make both of these pairs, both of these, the letter P in the ratio, into the same amount. So in the first ratio, it has 7 parts, and in the second ratio, it has 3 parts. So what we need to look for is what number do 3 and 7 have in common? What we're looking to find is the lowest common multiple. You might already figure out what number it is, but if you haven't, you can write out the times tables. So 7, 14, 21, 28, that kind of thing. And 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. I do see a number that's in both of them. They both go into 21. So I can change both of these ratios to have a 21 in them, and then I can change the other letter in the ratio as well. So in this first ratio, to get from 7 to 21, I do times by 3. So I should also times 3 by 3, and I get 9. In the second ratio, to get from 3 to 21, I times by 7. And now I also can times the 4 by 7, and I get 28. And now I have two different ratios that both have the letter P, that both have the number 21. So now I'm able to compare the apples and the cherries. So the final question actually says, work out the ratio of apple trees to cherry trees. So the final thing that we're looking for is apple to cherry, and there are 9 apple trees and 28 cherry trees. Okay, so what we're always going to look to do is the first red rectangle that I made, you're going to look for a letter that's the same in both the ratios and make the number the same as well. All right, I'm going to explain another one of those, and then I want you to try one by yourself. All right, so same idea again, just a different kind of example. In a farm, the number of cows and the number of sheep are in the ratio 6:5. So we've got cows and sheep. And the number of sheep and the number of pigs are in the ratio 2:1. The total number of cows, sheep, and pigs on the farm is 189. So we're going to need to use total somewhere. We want to find out how many sheep are on the farm. All right, so we have an extra step from last time, but we can totally figure this out. So we start the same way as before, and we write out the first ratio. So the first ratio is cows and sheep, and they're in the ratio 6:5. And then the second ratio was sheep to pigs, and they're in the ratio 2:1. So again, we have to look at what letter is the same in both of them. And both of these ratios have a sheep in them. One of them has a 2 and one of them has a 5. Do you know what the lowest common multiple of 2 and 5 is? Okay, what's in the 2 times table and in the 5 times table? We're looking for 10. So we're going to turn both of these ratios to have a 10 in them. So then we ask ourselves, how do we get from 5 to 10? It's times by 2. So you should times the 6 also by 2. And then how do you get from 2 to 10? You times by 5. So we should also times the 1 by 5. All right, we are nearly there. So from here, what we need to do is we need to write a ratio with the cows, the sheep, and the pigs. So cows, sheep, pigs, and then the question told us in total. So I'm going to write total. From all the working out I just did, I found out there were 12 cows, there's 10 sheep, we've got that here, and 5 pigs. And altogether, what do those 3 numbers make in total? 12, 22, 27. But they also told us in the question that there's 189 animals in total. So we need to find out what do we multiply by to get there. 189 divided by 27 is 7. So we have to multiply by 7 to get there. All right, they don't want us to work out absolutely everything. This question is really just wanting to know how many sheep are there. So we just need to find out what is 10 times by 7. So the final answer is 70. All right, that was definitely a more difficult question than the first one, but is again the same kind of idea. I'm going to see if I can find you a question for you to try without me saying anything at all. All right. All right, here is an example for you to try. I'll read it to you and then I want you to have a go at it and then I'll give you the answer. Jeff has 3 types of pens in his store. The ratio of blue to red pens is 4:5, and the ratio of red to black pens is 7:10. I would like you to find out what is the ratio of blue to black pens. Because both of the words blue and black start with the letter B, if this was me in this question, I would probably write out the whole word. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but I would definitely get confused. So press pause now and then come back for the answer. All right, let's try this out. So we've got 3 types of pens. We've got blue to red, and that is 4:5. And then we have red to black, which is 7:10. So we need to make this red here the same as this red here. So 5 and 7, they both have 35 in common. So we want to make both of the ratios have 35 in them. And then we ask ourselves, what do we multiply by 5 to get to 35? It's 7. So you multiply the 4 also by 7. What do you multiply by 7 to get to 35? It would be 5. So you will also multiply the 10 by 5. Now the final question says, what is the ratio of blue to black pens? So blue to black. There's 28 blue pens and there is 50 black pens. Now it doesn't say that I have to simplify this, but I can see that both of these numbers are even numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and simplify them. I'm going to divide by 2 to get 14 to 25. Hopefully you got that ratio as well. I don't think I'm going to go through any more examples. If you have any questions, please, please, please comment in the Google Classroom. Otherwise, I will chat with you next week sometime, I think. All right, have a good day.